What's up everybody, it's Ryan from Men's Barefoot, and today I'm bringing you a review of one of my favorite barefoot shoes, the Lems Boulder Boots. Lems was founded in 2011. They came out with their first shoe, the Primal, and they're made in Boulder, Colorado, if you were wondering, American company, and they produce great shoes. Today specifically we're talking about the Boulder boot, and this is the Waterproof Boulder boot. So before we get started into my opinions on them, I want to just give you a few specs about these shoes and what they are produced at. This is the Lems Waterproof Boulder boot, made with leather. It has a gusseted tongue so that it can keep the water out. It is a zero drop sole, meaning there is the same level from heel to the ball of the foot. There is no drop in height or raise in height. And it has a wide toe box for that healthy splay of your toes. It's made with 100% full grain leather, and it weighs 12.9 ounces, even with a waterproof membrane added inside, which typically adds a lot of weight. The stack height for this shoe is actually 10 millimeters with everything put together in the shoe and the boot all completed, which is a thicker sole than a minimalist shoe, but again, we'll talk about that here in just a minute. Some of my favorite things about this boot, and I've had this boot for a while, a little background is that I got this boot a year ago going into the fall season, and I have worn the snot out of these, to be honest. They were my everyday go-to shoe through the fall, through the winter, and even into spring while I could wear them before we went back into sandal season. And they quickly became something that I left on even when I went out to the shop. So I'm a woodworker, I have a part-time woodworking job, and so woodworking business, and so I use them in the shop, and they quickly became my favorite shop shoes because they were so comfortable, the wide toe box on my feet a lot. And so this leather boot really replaced my work boots. And so you can see that they are tore up, and you will see some of the other pictures. They've become my work boot outside, and I've mowed in them and all these things. So you'll see all sorts of nice little details here, but they have really held up strong. The glue is great on the seams still. There's no sort of glue coming out. None of the sewing is coming undone. They are beat up. They got all sorts of glue from me doing woodworking on them, but other than that, they are doing really good. It's a quality, durable construction, and I would highly recommend you wear these, even if you are someone who's using them a lot, even for outdoor work. The fit of these is incredible. These are a size 12 men's for me. I typically have worn size 11, 11 and a half, but the sizing chart suggested I went up to a 12, did it, and there's plenty of room, plenty of toe room. It's very spacious and very comfortable. I love the fit of these. In fact, I not only have the Lems Boulder boot, but I also have the Desert boot, and I also have the Chillums that all have the same footbed style. So I really, really like this. It's very comfortable for me, and I would suggest it. So the fit is great if you're looking for that wide toe box, okay? And I really like the styling of these. So the Desert boot doesn't have the toe feature, the mock toe feature, but I love a mock toe. Just gives it that nice edge to the boot, gives it a nice look, a nice fit, and it really kind of dresses it up a little bit in my opinion, gives it kind of a styling that you wouldn't necessarily get from just a typical rounded toe. And if you are worried about the wideness of the toes, if you're new to barefoot shoes, it hides that a little bit, kind of gives the illusion of a shorter toe or a more normal styled boot. One of my only complaints that I can draw about these Boulder boots, and specifically these waterproof Boulder boots, is that they do get a little toasty in the summer. I would not recommend these if you don't have to, if you have money to buy the other versions of the Boulder boots. I would not recommend these for summer. With the waterproof seal on the inside, they get very warm in the summer. They can get very toasty, and so it doesn't necessarily, it's not a deal breaker for me. My feet aren't ultra sweaty, but if your feet have a tendency to be very sweaty, they will get very hot in these boots, and it could almost make them uncomfortable. That's really my only con with these boots. They have really fulfilled every need that I could ever imagine a shoe and a boot to perform for me. Again, these shoes were my daily driver this year. I wore them a lot of days. If you go back and watch or go back and look at the Men's Barefoot Instagram, you'll see these shoes featured a lot, and they are looking a little worse for wear. I'm gonna have to figure out something for my going into fall now to replace these these boots because I don't think they're quite nice enough to wear to work anymore. They'll continue to be my shop boots. And I've actually liked them so much that you might have seen recently on my Instagram that I actually bought Alyssa, my wife, a pair for the workshop because she's starting to do woodworking out there with me. And so I bought her a pair. They aren't the leather ones, they're the nylon ones. I got used, and so they are a great fit for her, and they work great for a shop boot for her. And actually, I'm gonna list off the other options that you have here because it's not just this leather version. They make this Boulder boot in a mid version, so it's not quite so high as a high top boot. They make a mid vegan if you don't want leather, if you're wanting a more vegan style. They make a Boulder boot nylon version like I just mentioned for Alyssa. They make a Boulder boot, regular tall size and vegan. And then they make a Boulder boot leather, which my wife has. They have some great colors, and there's almost like a red brownish color that they have for those. Really great. And then they make the Boulder boot waterproof. So there's a ton of options for you as you are considering getting a boot. I think that's why I love these so much, because they just kind of check every box for what you need. I have gotten to some discussions online, either on my Instagram or other places, that argue, because I put somewhere about these being a thin sole, and somebody said those aren't thin soles. That's not a thin sole. You can't say that. And so I would say, yeah, compared to an ultra minimalist shoe, it's not a thin sole. You're not feeling every bump. But for a boot, especially a boot that you can wear in the winter and your feet not freeze, it's a thin sole. It is very responsive and flexible to what you need to do when you're moving around. I mean, you don't find winter boots and shop boots that can roll up like this, you know? So it's a thin, flexible sole that really fulfills the needs of somebody who wants to do the barefoot lifestyle successfully, because it gives you that flexibility and that security still to feel the ground below you, even when you're in risk situations like a wood shop or you're working outside in the cold. It is really, really helpful. On the days that it got bitter cold, the days that's very cold, in those long winter stretches where it's just freezing, throw on a pair of wool socks with these and you'll be set. I have had no problems, no complaints. Overall, I would highly recommend these Lems Boulder Boots waterproof. They just tick every box for me. They are really great. I love them a lot. And they've been overall my favorite barefoot shoe that I've adopted for my lifestyle. And so I'd say check them out. If you're on the fence, feel free to just get a pair. If you have any questions, feel free to message, comment on this. Go over to Instagram and follow along over there on Instagram. I'm always kind of answering questions or talking about stuff on there. And you know, I just really encourage you to do that. Get involved in the barefoot community and even in our men's barefoot community. Hey, thanks for checking this video out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.